Well, we do. Sunderland are in the playoffs. We're safe. It's in our hands. And I'm very, 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 very excited. Today we have, you can see the names if you're watching on YouTube, Dov
Hello.
and Jacob with us today.
Good evening.
Good evening. We may have his new handle throughout this again. I guess. Astra, hello, welcome along. So, first things first, shall we talk about the West Brom win, lads?
Yeah.
What?
Let's talk.
What a game.
What a fucking game,
yeah. So, West Brom took the lead in the first half in this one. A penalty, which I don't think was a penalty, but it was given.
Never in a million years is it a penalty, but yeah, we'll go.
Yes. Yes. Hi, Kisha. You all right? Welcome along. Yeah, the penalty I don't think was ever a penalty. Again, VAR would have completely ruled that out. They were ahead at the halftime break, unjustly, in my opinion. We were the much better team in that game, pretty much for the entirety. Second half, we come out, were very nervous of how we were going to get the goals, and well, Dennis Serkin, of course. Who else? Our centre back on the day, providing 2 goals for us. Wonder show from him. Yeah, what are you thinking to that?
I think overall, pretty solid game from Sunderland.
Mm-hmm.
I think the penalty was absolutely ridiculous. I think, like you said, I think if VAR would have had a look at it, they would have 100% given no penalty. But
Mm-hmm.
you know, it is what it is. Don't know what the fuck the ref was on, but yeah, he was. Yeah. I think overall, I think the West Brom players should have had a lot more yellow cards than they received. How many did they actually get in the end?
So they got
3, I think.
They got 3. Yeah, 3 all in all. But
yeah, they should have had about 9.
Most of them were in the first half.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
I think your attacking was a lot better. Your defense was also pretty good. Yeah, I think overall solid game from Sunderland. Want to see more?
Yeah. Would you say that was the fair result for what was on display on the day?
Yeah, you should have won. 100% should have won.
So I'm happy with that. Just FYI as well, really important game at the bottom of the league is happening as we're recording this session. Rotherham are playing Cardiff. If they both pick up points, they create a 4-point gap between them and Reading, and that's a game in hand, done and served. If either of them lose, it makes them climbable and reachable to the relegation zone for the last 2 games of the weekend. So big point if they both draw on this one. Yeah, Jacob, what are your thoughts to the West Brom game?
More or less the same as you two. I mean, penalty was absolutely atrocious. Was never a pen, and even there was neutrals on Twitter saying it as well. So there was a Burnley fan saying it, I've heard a Blackburn fan.
Yeah.
And as well, West Brom fans were just throwing temper tantrums. There was an incident in second half where a West Brom player missed the ball to head it, fell in box, and he was screaming at the referee saying, "Oh, I've been fouled," when he wasn't. He just made a fuck up.
Yeah.
We were the better team, to be fair. I mean,
yeah.
And we shouldn't have been 1-0 down because that penalty was just not a pen. I just don't get how the ref saw that as a pen. I don't know if it was.
Well, I don't think I don't think it was the ref that gave it, because there was a long delay between the incident where Swift, where the Brum player goes to the ground, and the actual decision to give a penalty. I think it was given by the lino, and the lino was obstructed by a couple of people. So
what I think happened was that the referee was gaslit into giving it,
because they kept surrounding him. Every single minor thing.
They were all surrounding him, yelling and screaming and pointing fingers, and I think he just gave it. 1, because he didn't see it, he didn't know. And 2, he was probably just overwhelmed with the amount of people screaming at him.
Oh, I'd like to have seen if he didn't give it how the West Brom the West Brom players would have been sat on the ground just throwing a proper temper tantrum.
Yeah. Do you know what? Do you know what though? Like, I was at the time very aggrieved by the incident, but I want to say this, and it's going to be very controversial. I don't think we would have come out in the second half with as much vigor and drive to get another goal back without that incident and that little bit of right lads, we need to fight against their team and the ref to get our goals and be into this game. I think it would have just been continuation of what we've been doing for the entire first half. So I'm kind of glad at the end of it because we got the result. But yeah, at the time, very just pissed off by it all. Would you have said if we took the lead, say Lyndon Gooch provided that header for Cirkin early second half, do you really think that we would have continued attacking the way we were if it was 1-0? I think we would have sat back a lot more.
Yeah.
We have form for that. If we take the lead, I don't know. It's an interesting one, though, isn't it?
It's kind of hard because like so many things come into factor.
Mhm.
Like, yes, you're ahead, so then do you just try and play safe because you're already ahead, so you just want to play safe for the 3 points, or do you try and get another one and risk them getting a counter attack and then equalizing?
Exactly.
Yeah, it's tough to say without knowing like what the coach has obviously told them. But yeah, I do agree with the fact. I think if they hadn't gone 1-0 down at halftime, I don't think they would have had the drive to come out and be like, okay, well, it's still 0-0. We don't need to try as hard. Whereas because they were 1-0 down, they were like, right, we need to score. Like, we have to score. Like, so.
Yeah. I agree with that. It just puts that extra little bit of punch to the game, and because it was such a blow just before half time, we did have the majority of the ball for the entire game away from home as well. It's one of our best displays at the Hawthorns I've seen in a long time. So, like I said, a bit aggrieved by some of the decisions that was made by the referee and the way the West Brom players conducted themselves throughout that game. But ultimately, what matters at the end of the 90 minutes is Sunderland walking home with all 3 points.
Yeah, the better team won.
Mm-hmm. The more professional team won as well, not just the better team. With that, every time you talk, does your cat flip the pancake?
Yeah, because it's a GIF. Yeah,
So
it's not a cat; it's a newscape from Demon Slayer.
Of course, how did I not know that?
He's got like a ball head on.
Oh yeah. Right, Jacob, mate, what do you reckon to their goal just before half time? What do you think that did to us?
For us, I guess for our equaliser, it boosted out. It rallied us up. It said, "No, we can go out and do this now. Let's go and get a fucking number and push ourselves.
Yeah,
and not take any bullshit from them." They're trying to wind us up. I think the players are. But West Brom are trying to wind us up here, and they're gonna want us to foul them so that they can get what they want. But
well, to be fair, it started to work later in the game. That kind of winding us up after we leveled it up. A lot of changes happened. So, with that in mind, the substitutions from Sunderland and West Brom in this game were very, very, very strange. So, Sunderland make late changes than normal. Again, our first substitutions were Barn, Ekwar off for Robertson Mishwa, 68th, 69th minute. Yeah. And then we make another substitution about 10 minutes later, Gelhardt, after he had a yellow card for... I think Gelhardt might have ended up getting sent off because he's the target man for all the defenders to kick their heels. So the fact that we made those subs and we only made 3 subs throughout the game between the 70th and the 80th minute, but then I don't understand what West Brom were doing tactically in terms of their substitutions. Their first substitution was in the 83rd minute, and then they made like 1 and 2 minutes later after Cirkin scored his goal, immediately after the goal scored, and then 3 at the dying embers of the game. Like, what? I don't understand that at all. Were they just trying to throw out the kitchen sink at it, or like? Because surely that was really badly managed from West Brom, West Brom's gaffer. Yes. Sorry.
Yes, sorry, I was just choking on air.
Oh, drink some water, mate. Drink some water.
Yeah.
Yeah. How do you think the West Brom managed that game?
Baby throwing a tantrum is what comes to mind.
I agree.
Who was the worst at it?
Oh, fucking,
One who
what's his
got-
name? Hang on, let me find him.
I say the one who got, the one you were on about, Amphu, second half, claimed he got fouled in the box when he didn't.
The one with the weird
Was
face.
it Swift? I
Yeah,
think
it was Swift.
Yeah.
It was Swift.
Yeah, he was a fucking man-child that game. Jesus Christ! Every time he got touched, he was like, "Eh, bit hurt."
Was it Gooch or Nine who pushed the West Brom player after we scored? Oh, because he got pushed as well. Then
I think it was 09, yeah.
09 just went, boom, bitch, get out of the way.
No, yeah, because 09, he had a collision with another player, and the player he had a collision with like pushed him in the face. Yeah, he got a yellow, and the other guy didn't.
Yeah, it was John Swift.
So when Sunderland players do something, it's a bad thing, but when the opposition does it, it's okay.
It's legitimate. It's fine. It's there's no harm, no foul, apparently. But to be fair, we wound them up quite well in the first half and got them onto a couple of yellows. So it wasn't like the referee wasn't going to give out yellows to West Brom. I think he just noticed the flow of the game change and tried to balance it out, I guess. But maybe he balanced it too far into West Brom's favour before it. Yeah, I don't know. The match official in this one didn't really have a top-notch game. I wouldn't say he had the worst game in the history of Sunderland referees, but like it's probably like a 4 or 5 out of 10 from a referee's performance. Like, it gives some decisions that our way which deserve to be our fouls, our throw-ins, our corners. It was balanced for the most part. It just seemed like the big moments, the free kicks in the final third, and their penalty appeal, like, it just seemed to edge towards West Brom in those moments. But
yeah, agreed.
Yeah, you've just got to roll with them essentially, especially if you're a team like us who are a little bit forgiving and soft when it comes to opposition teams. I think we've got a little bit of a friendly natured approach to our game. Like, we try not to wind up the ref that much. Well, Luke 09 aside, but like, everybody else in the team is very respectful of the rules, I guess. Like,
that's how everyone should be.
That's how everyone should be, but it's not. And when you see like a West Brom player like literally hug your defender on a corner, and our defender like tries to keep himself on his feet, it seems to be like that's not really punished. But if we slightly like put our hand on the crevice of another player's back to like keep them in a position on a corner, they'll fall to the ground and scream bloody murder. So I don't know. There's a respect level, I think, that we give too much to our opposition, but also whilst we're picking up points, it doesn't really matter. So yeah, I'm quite happy with the result overall, though. Yeah, I think that about wraps it up until DJ, Paul, or Brad joins us in a bit. If they do, we'll see if they have anything to say about the West Brom game. But moving forward, there's quite a big set of results that have happened this week. So between our West Brom game and our Watford game, which is happening on Saturday, there has been a couple of games that have been the catch-up games for the rest of the league. So Sheffield United nicely did us a favour, and Burnley did us a favour with 2 games in hand on Blackburn and West Brom. They both were beaten quite comfortably by the top 2 in this league. So Burnley confirmed as champions in that game, and Sheffield United also confirmed as promoted because of those games in hand that they won. So thank you very much, Burnley. Thank you very much, Sheffield United. You've kept us in 6th place and kept it in our court for the game ahead against Watford. So I had to call that out because we could have dropped out of the top 6 spot even though we earned it against West Brom. So yes. Did you two catch any of those games by any chance?
I can't say I did.
Not really. About Blackburn beat Burnley beat Blackburn, didn't they, at the home ground? Which
Yeah, in a 1-0 away win. Yeah.
It doesn't surprise me, a club winning at the title at the rivals' ground. You know, and there was a Blackburn fan giving grief to Burnley squad, and a Burnley player proper celebrated in front of Blackburn fans' face.
I mean,
I might try and send the video.
I mean, the celebrations at the end of the game were a little bit of a piss take at at Blackburn's expense. There was a little bit of drama on the coverage, and they cut to an advert because there was handbags and stuff. But you can't blame them. They've basically beat the league at that point, and you've got to celebrate it. They've got 2 games where they can just do whatever they want. If they win those 2 games, they'll be in the 100 club, and I think that's what they're going to aim for from a Burnley's perspective. Sheffield United, on the other hand, literally have nothing to play for in these last 2 games, other than pride, I guess, and trying to get into the 90 club. But yeah, like, does that potentially impact the up 2 coming games that they have? So we'll talk about the fixtures that are coming up then. So obviously we've got the Rotherham and Cardiff game, which is still 1-1 into the second half as we speak. Point apiece does help them both climb away from Reading, 4 points clear with 2 games to hand. So if they win one of those games that they have in hand, they're both safe. So a huge point for both of these, but that might not happen at the full-time whistle. But then this weekend, there's a couple of games that could potentially impact us and the bottom of the league. You've got Blackpool versus Millwall. So that is Millwall, who are directly below us on a slightly worse goal difference, same amount of points, and Blackpool needing to win to climb ever closer to Huddersfield or Reading into safety with a game to spare. Then you've got Blackburn versus Luton Town. This one is, I think, a little bit huge, but also kind of insignificant for Luton. I don't know if you... Okay, have you got the table in front of you, boys?
I'm looking at it now. I've got the Rotherham Cardiff game up.
Yeah, cool. So Luton Town and Middlesbrough are cemented and do have the playoffs already in hand. So they don't need to do anything against their last 2 opponents. So will Luton Town step off the pedal because they don't need to win and hand Blackburn a opportunity at Blackburn to potentially get into the playoffs and beat them? But what I would also edge towards is Luton Town wanting to win that game. So I don't know, like, if Luton Town Luton Town could finish 3rd and Blackburn could finish 6th, right? And if you're 2 games ago beating the team that you're coming up against in the playoffs, in the playoff semi-final or the final itself, that puts a little bit of edge back down to the team that's in 6th or 7th because they've just beaten them. So I don't think Luton are going to step off the pedal for that week, but they might for the final game of the season. You have Sunderland versus Watford. I think Watford are mathematically, it's impossible for them to catch up to the playoffs now, so their season is done. That's just a fact. So Sunderland have a lot more to play for in this game. The pressure's on Sunderland, and it's in our hands. That I think is blatant and obvious. Very similar story with Coventry. Coventry play Birmingham. Local pride is something that they both want to play for here, but I think Coventry are the favourites. Hull and Swansea doesn't matter. Well, actually, no, it kind of does, because Swansea is a team on form. They've won 4 on the bounce, and they're now within 3 points of Sunderland. But I think if Sunderland pick up 3 points, I think it's a little bit too little too late from their perspective. Stoke QPR doesn't matter for Stoke, but QPR will want some points to stay safe before the final game of the season. Burnley Bristol, again, neither team here needs to win. It's a nothing game, that one now, just Burnley for the 100-point mark. Rotherham and Middlesbrough. This is really interesting because Rotherham are just outside of those relegation spots as it stands with this draw right now. A win or 2 points, I think, in the final 2 games of the season sees them safe. So they will be wanting a win. Middlesbrough have nothing to play for. That one for me is a little bit interesting, other than fitness and keeping people ready for the playoffs. The biggest one, I've said the biggest one like 3 times, but there's 2 really big ones here: Sheffield United and Preston. So Sheffield United obviously guaranteed to go into the Premier League next season. Preston looking in that chasing pack to catch up to Coventry and Sunderland in the playoffs. What do you think? What do you think that's going to be likely? Do you think Preston are going to be more on the press or on the counter, and Sheffield, I think, are just looking to potentially not lose, I guess?
I don't think Sheffield will be. It's going to sound like disrespectful, but I don't think they'll be trying. If anything, I think they'll just be trying to play for a draw.
Yeah, because they literally don't need to exert themselves anymore, do they? They've guaranteed their Premier League status.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, they've done the work they need to. It'll just be a case of, I think, trying to like almost wind down, but like they also probably want to try and avoid the. Well, this goes for like most teams around this time. They're going to try and want to avoid injuries as well.
Yeah.
So I don't think they'll be going too hard in the match, but at the same time, I think they'll be. Yeah, I think they'll go for a draw.
Yeah, I think so too. This is another game. This is important to us and the team around it. So West Brom and Norwich are playing each other. The winner of this stays in the chase and in the pack. A draw does nothing for either of them. And the loser of this game basically is guaranteed to stay in the Championship and be a mid-table team this season. So that one is huge. It eliminates one potential team guaranteed for the playoff chase on the final game of the season. So I'm really happy that game's happening at this stage. And then finally, at the bottom of the table, you have Cardiff against Huddersfield. Cardiff are favourites, but Huddersfield need the points, and if they get them, that does create a good gap between them and the bottom 3. So really big games this weekend. Is any that you want to call out and chat about the most right now?
Not really.
So, if I'm all right, still in that one, I'm going to say Blackpool, who were 23rd and needing a win against Millwall, who was 7th.
Yeah.
Blackpool are at home.
Yeah.
Obviously,
I guess whoever wins that is. Well, if one of the teams win it, they almost does it guarantee a place in the playoffs, or it just
no, it keeps them in.
Puts them at 68, so that'll put them 5th.
It could put them 5th if Sunderland and Coventry lose. It could put them 5th. Yep.
So it's still a pretty big match for one of them to win. Even if they draw, they still go. No, they don't. They don't. They stay 6th if they win. If they drew. Well, it depends how the other games go, though.
It really does. But I think
Millwall will win.
I think Millwall are favourites to win, but I think Blackpool will want it more because they don't want to go. They don't want to get relegated. Surely.
Yeah. Do they still stay? They'll go 44.
So if
they'll still be in relegation.
If Blackpool don't win, if they draw, and Reading or Huddersfield pick up points, they are pretty much relegated on the last day of the season. Before the last day of the season, Wigan are hoping for absolute miracles across the league. They're hoping for Blackpool to lose, Reading and Huddersfield. to lose their game. So I think we're all pretty ironed on that. Wigan are going to be relegated, but Wigan are playing Reading, so Wigan could jump to 43 points with Reading, or Reading can jump to 46 points and drop Huddersfield into it. But yeah, Blackpool are driving their own car essentially for this one. I think they've got more to play for, and will put out a really solid team. Yeah, we're hoping Blackpool does us favours as well. Really, that would, I think, pretty much kill Millwall's hopes for a playoff finish, because Millwall's last game of the season is against Blackburn. Blackpool, then Blackburn. So two teams that they're coming up against are fighting for it, and you've also got to remember, just the form here. They've lost the last 2 games on the bounce. Blackburn have drew 4 of the last 5. It's the perfect time for Blackpool to play Millwall, but also the worst time, I guess. So
Yep.
I think there's just a lot to keep an eye on for our games on Saturday. Actually, that Blackpool game will take place tomorrow. That's tomorrow evening's game, so maybe we'll already know what we need to do from a Sunderland perspective. So if Millwall do pick up points, we need to win against Watford. We'll already know. But again, the teams below us are doing us favours. If you just look, the 3 teams directly below us lost their last games. Or to be fair, Millwall and West Brom lost their last 2. So yeah, I think perfectly mathematically, everybody's done the right thing from a Sunderland and Coventry perspective. Is there any other games that you think are going to be very, very interesting and have a huge impact on either the playoffs or the relegation foders?
Reading and Wigan.
Yeah, I was literally about to say that, actually. Reading Wigan.
So, according to this, Reading are odds-on favourite, two to 1 over Wigan to win. So, twice the better odds.
I mean, even if Wigan win, they're still in relegation. If Reading wins or even draw, it gets them out of it, depending on what Huddersfield do. So, I think this is a massive match for Reading to win, purely to just not go into relegation. If they're favourites to win, then yeah, fair enough. I'd probably give them the odds to win. I think purely just on how bad Wigan have been this season. Sorry to Wigan fans, but you're bottom of the league for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
At least we're not Wigan.
At least we're not Wigan.
Yeah, I would be expecting Reading to win this week.
Yeah, me too. To be fair, where else have we got that? Sorry, I've just got the games up here. What are you thinking for that one, Jacob?
Is this for Reading and Wigan?
Reading, Wigan, yeah.
I think Reading are just going to snap. I think it'd be 2-1 Reading, to be fair. I mean, Huddersfield, they need to be careful because, they could still go down because, they've got Cardiff on Sunday, then Sheffield at home, then Reading at home. So, I think Sheffield. I don't think Sheffield will want to lose to Huddersfield. To be fair, I don't think they'll want to. I think Sheffield might win that. To be fair, Cardiff I think might be a draw, and then Reading, maybe that could be a draw. So,
I genuinely think Rotherham, Cardiff, and QPR, if they get 1 point out of the last 2 games, they're safe. That's pretty much it. It's between Huddersfield, Reading, that I think are flipping between that 21st and 22nd relegation and safety.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say.
Because they had a crap for predominantly first half of the season, didn't they, Huddersfield? That's why they are where they are. To be fair, they'll be shit in the pants for Huddersfield fans still.
Yeah. What's the form guide for the current league table, though? Who in the bottom half of the table has the better form? Just so you're aware, there's a couple of games happening as we speak.
Is this
84th
from
minute
where would you say? From 18th to 24th, would you say?
is they're in the relegation fight, yeah.
All right, I'd say Rotherham. From 18th to 24th, I'm going to go with Rotherham.
To go down?
Definitely. No, not to go down. I'm saying they're the team that's on best form in that.
Oh, team on best form. Sorry, yeah, I was going to say.
Yeah.
I'm just pulling it up. So there's champion. Well, I think obviously. Where the hell is that? There you go. EFL Championship. Where is it? Got the form guide. Where is form? What? Detailed stats. Form table. The team on form, surprisingly, is Swansea City. They've won 5 out of the last 6 and drew the other one.
That is interesting.
Sunderland are 4th on the form table, above Burnley. So bottom half of the table, the highest team on form is Wigan Athletic, who've picked up 3 wins in the last 6 games. Then the worst team, the worst team on form are these 3 teams. Blackburn Rovers, who've picked up 4 points in their last 6 games, all 4 of them being draws. Reading, exactly the same. But surprisingly, Watford are bottom of the table with the worst goal difference. They've won 1, drew 1, and lost 4 out of their last 4 games. I did not know that. Did you?
No.
So
I did not.
We're literally, I think Sunderland are playing Watford at the perfect time. They are completely out of form. The season's done and dusted. Just give us the 3 points. Thank you. we'll say thank you from the Premier League.
Solid. I'll buy you a beer.
Don't celebrate too early, Am, because it's you know what we're like.
Oh no, yeah, it's usually those teams that are at the bottom of the form guide pick up points against us. So it's not a guarantee, but I think we are definitely favourites to beat Watford. Now I know that as well. So I'll bring it up a couple of times on the watch along on Saturday. But yeah, out of that, where Huddersfield are currently 6th. Huddersfield are in form. They're the most informed team out of the bottom 6. Bottom 6, yeah. Rotherham are 16th in the form table, and QPR 20th. It's not great. It's really not great at the bottom half of the table. To be fair, the difference between Wigan in 10th with 9 points and Rotherham in 16th is on 6 points is literally just 1 win. So it's still that tight, this league table, and I think it's just really interesting. So I think we can nicely move on, I guess, to predictions for this Sunderland Watford game at the weekend, which I think is it's nearly sold out. Like 42,000.
Jeez, that's quick.
Yeah, they're selling out. Basically, they're opening a section and then selling it out pretty much within 2 hours. It's quite ridiculous. So we might have a capacity stadium, which is a bit bizarre, but there you go. Yeah, predictions.
This is it's an away game, right?
No, it's our last home game of the season.
Oh,
I'm
I'm gonna go with a 2-0.
Like that. That's if we don't make the playoffs, by the way. It's our last home game if we don't make the playoffs. If we make the playoffs, we get an extra one. Obviously, because you get 2 legs. But yeah, it's our last league home game of the season. So yeah, 2-0. Happy with that. Goal scorers, if you can pluck some out there.
I'm gonna go with
Dead a second.
I'm gonna go with I'm gonna go with Ahmed and you know, I reckon Mishu's gonna get one.
Mish?
Oh wait, no.
If he starts, yeah.
If he starts, maybe. If not Mishu, then maybe Roberts.
Okay, I'm liking these. I'm liking.
Oh.
Okay. DJ Earth has joined us. I'm just going to let Jacob do his Watford prediction and goal scorers. Go for it, Jacob.
I'm saying no. don't want to jinx it. To be fair, I might actually go for a draw.
Okay.
I know I'm going to get me. I know I might get my head cut off for that, but I think 2-2. I don't want to. Watford, you never know, do you? I know they've not been great, but
They did get a 2-2 draw against Coventry not a couple of games ago, so
we can't. We need to still remember that we were League One last season and they were Prem. So, and they've still got some Prem players, so we can't be too overly confident, can we? Because still got some Premier League players. So, but I think the goal scorers for us, I think Ahmad and Clark.
Okay.
That's who I'm going with.
Okay. I will join you on that one and go with a 3-1 Sunderland win. I think Roberts, not Roberts, Clark, Diallo, and Pritchard to get goals, and for them potentially Adamayo, maybe Toby Adamayo. It depends if he plays. Yeah, can't really see the them getting other goals other than like a weird freak counter attack because they're not on form. And right, DJ, welcome. Cabby, welcome. Hello. So, what we've gone through so far is the West Brom game. So we've all give our say on that. Feel free to add on to that. Then we went through the upcoming games and their impact that are potentially happening this weekend and our score predictions. So, yeah, feel free to go over yours now.
Well, yeah, the West Brom game I just thought was absolute just quality. It just amazes me how different we are compared to when we're playing at home to when we're playing away. The way we bossed that game at West Brom, I just thought was just superb. We went 1-0 down, obviously to Juvia's penalty, and I was noticing Sunderland's build-up play. They were like patiently just passing it left to right, keeping possession, and almost like a trapdoor spider. The minute they seen an opening, I mean, especially for the second goal, the minute they seen an opening, it was like pounce, and it was quick 1-2 passes, really close passes next to each other. The defenders didn't know where the hell we were.
Yeah.
And I just thought that was just a hell of a goal. And it's one of the best performances I've seen Sunderland away from home, apart from, let's say, the Reading game, because it's not an easy place to go to, the Hawthorns, and I kind of fault any player in a red and white shirt, and even the goalkeeper top. I thought the team spirit was just second to none. I really do.
That pretty much echoes what we've been saying. We did have a little bit of a rant around how poor West Brom were professionally and them surrounding the ref and their childish behaviour, shall we say, throughout that game, surrounding the ref, asking for yellow cards, screaming. It was just embarrassing from West Brom's perspective, of how they handled themselves through that game. The fact that we won, I think, was the right result for that game. Do you agree with that? Yeah,
I absolutely agree with that at all. It's like, I think if West Brom had concentrated on actually, playing the game, hassling the referees and getting shitty penalties and stuff, then might have been different outcome. But I thought mentally, especially, let's not forget it. These are kids. With a side like bunch of limp along Leslie's, we're all injured. And it's frighteningly good to see how good we can be.
It's a completely different team to what we played in mid-March. The dip that we had when we played Rotherham, Coventry, and then Stoke, those 3 losses on the bounce. Since then,
I kind of believe. Looking at the table, even like tonight, whatever, to say like we're 6 and it's in our hands. I mean, that's just a phenomenal achievement. I mean, even if we didn't make the playoffs by the end of the season, to be where we are now, I just think that's remarkable compared to the squad that we've got. It's superb.
Yeah, there's one thing that will potentially impact. So we could drop out of the playoffs before our next game against Watford, because Blackpool, who are in the bottom three, are playing Millwall, who are seventh. That's the Friday evening game, so we will know going into that game what we need to achieve to maintain a playoff position going into the final game of the season. What are your thoughts on the Blackpool Millwall fixture?
I fancy Blackpool, to be honest with you. I think Millwall's dipping form. They're doing an Arsenal, aren't they? And I think Blackpool fighting for everything. I don't think it's going to be as straightforward as what many people think. To be quite honest with you, I think it'll be a tough game. I do fancy Blackpool.
So, in terms of dip in form, by the way, the Blackpool have picked up 6 points in their last 6 games, and Millwall have picked up 5 points in their last 6 games. So, yeah, they're slightly ahead in the form guide from 17th to 19th in that form table. But the full season table is what really matters, isn't it? Is it the best time for Blackpool to come up against this Millwall team? That's essentially what I think we discussed a little bit.
I would say definitely, without a doubt.
So there you go. We could still be in there without having to do anything. Sorry?
Which of the teams can affect Sunderland's position, or which of the teams can knock Sunderland out of the playoffs? Let's say we lose
before our Watford game, it's literally just Millwall. But during that Watford game, there's a lot. There is a lot. There's Blackburn, West Brom, Preston, Norwich, and Swansea. But Swansea will have to massively overturn a huge goal difference to do so. But and same with Norwich, to be fair. But Norwich and West Brom are playing each other, so if that game ends in a win, they could affect our status. But if it's a draw, neither of them will because they're too far behind.
West Brom will be up for it more than Norwich, to be fair. Norwich they'll probably just sit back.
But you got to remember, last season Norwich were in the Prem. You said this about Watford, didn't you? They've got some Premier League quality still in their roster. It's not like they're just shit. It's just that they've had a bad couple of weeks and they've dropped too far down. So
how much same for Watford, in it? They've had a bad few weeks. So
they're mirroring Watford a bit.
Watford haven't been shit this season.
No, they haven't. Watford haven't been shit this season. They've been shit over the last month or so. That's why they're bottom of the form guide. Justin, welcome along, saying Millwall are doing a Tottenham. Can't even finish in Europe. Was it finishing third in a 2-horse race? That's the Tottenham way. Yeah.
They could be doing a Chelsea.
Oh no, I don't think they're going to be. Well, to be fair, they are in the bottom half of the table now, so I think it's right for where they're at. What was your question, Cabby? What was your question? Because you and Jacob were talking at the same time.
Yeah, how good is our goal difference to the rest? Who's the nearest? Who could challenge Sunderland for goals the nearest?
Coventry, the team that's directly above us. So us and Coventry are on 10 goal difference. The reason we're in the playoffs right now is because of our goal difference. Millwall have a +7. Blackburn have a -3, but those two teams are on the same amount of points. So we need to basically match or better those two games, and we stay in the top 6 for the final game of the season. Welcome along, Pennywell Pundit. If we go up, I'm getting Luke on one arse cheek, and then 09 on the other. A 9 on the other with O in the middle already. Well, just all you need to do is put W on one cheek and W on the other, and then just anytime we have a good game, do a Mooney.
Open your ass.
And every time you shit, you're saying wow. Just like that. Oh, that's funny. So yeah, we then moved on to our score predictions. I went 3-1 Sunderland. Darv went 2-0 Sunderland. Jacob, you said 2-0 as well. 2-2 draw, 2-2. Yes. And Abby, what are you saying for our result against Watford?
God, it's so difficult to call in it. I'm going to go on like a Sunderland Everton game where Sam Allardyce, I'm going to go 3-0 the lads.
Oh, what? This is rare. This is rare. Who's scoring for us?
A cabby dub.
Our scoring for us, I think Joffrey will get one.
Getting his fourth for the club. I'll be happy with that.
I think Clark will get one.
Okay, yeah.
And fancy all 9 to sneak one in.
Oh, I'm happy with that. To be fair, no. If you asked anybody last week who was getting Sunderland's goals, nobody would have said Cirkin twice. Let's put it that way. So Luke O'Nien getting a goal, I think, is just rewards for how much effort he puts in.
Well, I think we'll win actually 4-0, and I think the ball will rebound out of the dugout and hit Ross Stewart, and I think he'll get a goal for Sunderland even though he's not on.
Oh, there's a couple of extra talking points on the back of that comment about Ross Stewart. But I think we've got to focus on these next 2 games more than our summer transfers now, right? Because I think nobody would have said we were in with playoffs and comfortably in the playoffs. Oh, there's been a goal, by the way. Cardiff have now took the lead against Rotherham. So that does change up a lot of things. Cardiff are mathematically safe before their next game. And yeah, Rotherham are back in the pack and Reading can catch them up. So yeah, that's got like 2-3 minutes left of that game to unfold, and Rotherham in the shit with Wigan, I guess. Maybe the 2 other teams that were promoted with us might go down. But yeah, like I said, it's more likely going to be Reading and Huddersfield. But yeah, huge drop points for Rotherham if they lose this one.
I tell you what, if we don't get up this season, we could be very, very likely playing Everton next season. They're in dire trouble.
Maybe Leicester beat you. Maybe
As
Leicester.
a Liverpool supporter, it's fucking hilarious.
I think it's hilarious. Like, they lost 4-1, didn't they, to the Mags? But they're terrible, Everton. Like, I watched them tonight. They were awful.
Oh, fucking United are beating Tottenham, actually.
Is that full time 4-1? Is that
Yeah.
Yeah, because what I can see is 84 minutes, 87 and 57 for the Man U game. I see Newcastle won away from home 4-1. Bournemouth are winning 1-0 at Southampton, and Manchester United have beaten Spurs 2-1.
Well, the killer yesterday was Forest winning 3-1. That's really done some damage, that.
What does that do to the bottom of the Prem?
Southampton bottom 24, Everton second off bottom 28, Leicester third off bottom 29, and Forest and Leeds joint on 30 points.
Does that mean realistically anybody West Ham down could go into the Championship next season?
Yeah, West Ham's got a bit of breathing space. They're 5 points.
And goal difference. West Ham's goal difference is still in single figures on the negative, whereas everybody else is like minus 32, minus 21, minus 31.
Yeah, minus 31.
Yeah.
But as we know, there's a lot more games to play in the Premier League compared to the rest of the league. Championship League One, there's like 7 or 8 games left in the Premier, isn't there?
Yeah. Oh yeah. We might as well talk about it then. So if Sunderland don't make the playoffs, that's our season done at the end of the Preston North End game. What impact did our transfers, our loanees this season have on it? And the main thing I'm thinking about here is Ellis Sims getting recalled and doing absolutely nothing for Everton because he hasn't had the opportunity to. Not because he's poor, it's just I don't think he's had enough game time. So the whole point of the recall has massively potentially hindered our season. We could have been guaranteed playoff positions, and they've done nothing with him. that really pisses me off. But if Everton do get relegated, Sims is obviously one of those players that will get sold on. I think him and Broadhead will get sold on from Everton as potential striking options. Would you go for any of those?
Yeah, why not? Because he did well for us. Did all right, pretty good for us. Did Sims, and then he's hardly been playing for Everton, has he? I mean, he's come on sometimes, but he's not. You know,
Yeah.
it's just
So yeah, in that scenario, by the way, Everton and Sunderland are playing in the Championship next season. Would you still take some of Everton's current squad for Sunderland if they are looking to offload a couple of their talent, shall we say?
yeah.
Or do you think like somebody from those teams are going to the newly promoted Burnleys and Sheffields of the league? Do you think that some of the players are going to stay in the Prem?
Well, that's the thing though, because that wouldn't surprise me if that happens. But I would like to try and if Everton go down, I would like us to be the person to try and snatch Ellie Sims before anyone else does.
Yeah. Well, if he is up for offer, I think I might take Sims as an option. If I to be fair, I think if we're looking towards the end of the transfer window and still looking for a striker, I think Sims might be up for the picking. But that does have the caveat of Everton wanting to offload that player, which I think they will, because, like I said, he's gone back to them on the recall and he's not really had that much game time at all. I think if I'm just going to try and load up his stats, but is there any other players like that you would think about? Gabby, Jacob, is there any other players that you'd think in the bottom half of the Prem that we could grab? Oh, Spurs have levelled at Man U, by the way. It's now 2-2.
Fucking, that's good. Really good for Liverpool, actually.
Oh, it's huge.
Tell you what, do you know because Ballymum was at Norwich, isn't he? But he's up to on loan.
Oh, sorry.
You know, Ballymumba's a Norwich player, right? But he's on Plymouth at loan at the minute.
Yeah.
Would you consider buying Ballymumba back at the next season? Because he'll be going back to Norwich, and Norwich aren't going to be in the Prem, so maybe when he's back at Norwich, Sunderland could try and sign him back. Because he's a Sunderland lad as well. He's from the northeast.
If he wants to, I'd definitely consider it. But it's got to be like if he's used to the Premier League financials, I don't think we're going to throw money at him like that higher level. Yeah. So if the financials line up, then yeah, maybe. But I don't think he's. I don't think he's worth.
That's a player who I'd consider getting him back. To be fair.
Yeah, but I think they're looking for like 3-4 million above what I think is an appropriate value on him.
I can't see him staying at Plymouth. I can't see him staying there, to be honest.
Pennywell Pundit says, quite interestingly, I'd take Gelhardt next year again. So he will obviously return on loan, as will Ahmed, and I think there's another loanee player that we...
Oh, there's been a goal at the Cardiff game.
Has there?
2-1 Cardiff.
We said that like
that 10
happened
minutes ago. Maybe like 10 minutes ago. Yeah.
we called it out. We called about Rotherham being back in the relegation pack. But yeah, thank you. Yeah. So Justin's also says I'd imagine they need Sims, Calvert-Lewin too, to come down with a good team. So Ellis Sims, since he's been back, I've literally just loaded up his stats. This season, he's played 10 games for Everton. He scored 1 goal and he's played 209 minutes, which is essentially 21 minutes or just shy of 21 minutes per game. He's coming on as a last-minute substitution in most of his games. That, I think, is an absolute waste of his talents. He's played 17 games for us and he scored 7 goals off the back of it, and he's assisted 2. Yeah.
Who was it that's about Gelhardt, by the way? Because I tell you what, I think Joffrey, I'm beginning to like the lad, and I think his attitude, and I think he's mixing him with the team well. And I do honestly think he's a good player in the making, that lad.
I agree with that, mate, but I think he needs to have somebody like Ross Stewart, a big striking partner. He can't be up there by himself week in, week out.
No, we've said that, haven't we? Like, he needs to be like, yeah, he's not a lone striker, no way.
I think he would do really well, like a Phillips Quinn kind of scenario. Top two, banking off each other, assisting each other week in, week out. The Sims and Stewart, when they were playing together, that was pretty much unstoppable. Nobody really knew how to do it. So I think Joffrey could do the same thing, but when he's by himself, he's not a Jermaine Defoe.
Did you see what?
Yeah.
Did you see what Joffrey did to the when he pushed the West Brom player out after
Our second goal?
scored?
Yeah. That was hilarious because the defender was giving it the big one. He was like, yeah. That was class.
You do that the West Brom defender,
Yeah.
literally seconds before Gooch was just about to cross the ball in, pushed Joffrey, get hard in the back, and he went flying. He didn't get on his arse. Joffrey, he stumbled about 7 or 8 steps because the coloured fella, he pushed him. He went miles. He was just getting his own back. He looked, and it was really funny, wasn't he? Because he waited until the ball hit the back of the net. He turned around and he went, right, piss off. Just shoved him. It was hilarious.
Yeah. And that proves to me that he wants to play for us. He's really bought into our club now. I know he's a Leeds lad, and he does have to go back to Leeds at the end of the season, which I think his contract's the end of June rather than the end of May, because if it's the end of May, we don't get him for the playoff final. Just so you're aware, contractually, he goes back to Leeds. So we need him back. But that's assuming we get to the playoff finals. But do you know what I mean? Like, if he does go back, I think if Speakman is looking at Ahmad and Joffrey as people coming back on a full term contract at the end of the season, I'd take Ahmad, but not at 35 million. 35 million is just absolutely fucking stupid price for him.
It is. Yeah.
So I think it's all about the financials. I would definitely have both those players back for next season, though. Yeah, we've got 2 games to play. We don't even know if we might be in the Prem next year. Do you think
we'll get talking about the playoffs, thinking, have we got every right to talk about Wembley playoff finals, this and that, because that's the way there's a feel around the pub at the moment, isn't there?
Yeah.
It's just me.
So I think if say the current top 4, we would lose, I think, against Luton Town in the semis, but I don't think we'd lose to them in the final, which is really bizarre because I think over 2 legs they would basically frustrate us defensively. But Middlesbrough, I think we could beat in the semis, and I think we could beat any of the other teams in the final. It's one game then. So
we'd beat Borough in the final. Do you think we'd beat Borough in the final?
I think it's a 50-50 with that one as well, though. So what I would much prefer to do is for us to finish 5th, so we play Middlesbrough in the semis, so we get them at home and away, and it's like this North-East rivalry, which North-East team gets to Wembley, rather than 2 North-East teams both losing in the semi-finals and neither gets to go to Wembley. I'd much rather one more North-East team goes and basically has a go at Newcastle next year. If it's us, that's the ideal. But if it's Middlesbrough, I'm okay with that as well. So I think just other North-East teams need to bring Middlesbrough back into reality, shall we say. Pennywell's also popped in, says Joffrey is a proper grafter. He's not a lazy lad like a taxi driver or something.
He didn't say that, did he?
He did, yeah. God. How's your back, mate? Does it feel like there's a knife in it?
Well, I don't know. I'm not tied down his curtains anymore.
Fair enough. Right, we're coming up to our hour mark. We're going to be doing the watch along on Saturday, which is a 3:00 kickoff, so 15 minutes before kickoff, we'll be live on the channel.
Yeah, get a lay-in.
Yay! It's not a 12:00 game.
The sellout, the name of light.
Yes, over 40. I think it's over 41 guaranteed, but I think it's over 42 already. 1,000 people there for our final game of the regular season. So, is there anything you just want to add on to you before we wrap up the stream and catch you in 2 days' time?
Actually, I want to pull up on something. It was the rumours about us getting a new coach and Mowbray retiring.
Oh yeah. Yeah, go for it. Explain it.
Well, it was on Tuesday. It came up. He's at a Turkey. I forgot the manager's name, but he's at a Turkish team called. Is it Alan Spire, something like that?
It's something. It's Ferroli.
Francesco Faroli.
Yeah,
Francesco Faroli's the guy's name.
he's a current he was the manager of Alan Spire in the Turkish leagues. So basically, like Dick Advocat was, he could be coming from the Turkish leagues. He has an okay record. He's not like the.
He's not shit, is he? He's not a shit manager who you'd be worried about. He's okay.
He's a very middle of the road manager who's unproven in English leagues though. So
yeah, that's the problem.
Yeah,
If we stay in the Championship, how would you feel if he came to Sunderland? Would you be worried, or would you be?
I think we'd have a good time of it. To be fair,
you don't think he'd take us to League One?
I don't think he'd. No, he wouldn't get us relegated. No, I think he. I don't. It's also very dependent on Tony Mowbray retiring, right? I don't want him to leave, but also like we've had seasons and seasons end when then the gaffer leaves. That's happened a lot over the last decade and a half. So yeah, I get it, but like I think until Mowbray is out the door looking at replacements and who's rumoured to replace him already, I think there's a bit.
It's unlikely.
It's a bit early. Yeah, he could go. He could get another job. It could be like
Mowbray. This is an article saying Mowbray says he would love to stay at Sunderland and isn't unnerved by claims that club have lined up Francesco Faroli to lead the team next season, and that's the Sunderland Echo. So I think that's pretty much hinting that Mowbray is going to be with us next season. So
I'm all on board with him sticking around. I like the current job he's doing. He had a shit March, which is exactly what everybody expects. He always has a dip in February, March, which I think was a little bit delayed this year because of the World Cup break. But he always has a bad spell after the new year, and then he picks it up for the rest of the season. And he's done that with us.
Out of 10, of like what he's done for Sunderland this season so far.
So he took over us when we were 10th.
August.
Yeah,
late August he took it.
Yeah, so he's had pretty much the full season. He hasn't had a transfer window with us, but if like two, no, he has. He's had one.
I think this Francesco is going to actually go to Watford because I think Watford were rumoured to get him. So if he's going to go anywhere, I'd say he's going to go to Watford actually.
Yeah, probably, mate.
I can't see Wilder staying with Watford. I can't see Chris Wilder staying with Watford.
I would take Wilder over him, to be fair, as a replacement for Mowbray. Wilder's really good.
I don't know.
I'll definitely take him. He's a good gaffer, but I guarantee. Well, I'm not going to say that. Fucking hell. His agent is flaunting his name around. The concourse is open. Sections of it have been opened. But yeah, I think just if we get a new manager, because at the moment Tony Mowbray is a head coach, I think he wants to stick around with us. Until Mowbray tries to dictate who he's bringing in, he'll stick with us. As soon as he says, I want this player and I want this player and I want you to strengthen this area and it costs too much, that's when I think he'd be Lee Johnson'd, essentially. He'd be out the door at that point. But at the moment, his season, I'd probably say it's probably a solid 7, 8 out of 10 because of that March blip. We're in the playoffs because of him. Would I have Alex Neil back?
If he came knocking on the doors, Mowbray's gone now. I tell you what, lad, let's have another go with something there.
I'd rather pick up my shit and clap. Sorry, YouTube, if that's too gross, but no, I would not have Alex
funny.
Neil. I would not have Alex Neil back.
Pick your shit up and clap.
So no. Would you?
No.
Don't know who he is, but he sounds like an absolute twat. So no.
He's a snake, mate. Basically, think if Gerrard took the Liverpool manager job, played a couple of games, did all right, and then just left for no reason other than he wants to manage Everton. That's essentially what he's done.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
Yeah,
That's a bit shit.
yeah.
I mean, why would you go to Stoke? They've done nothing in football in recent years, Stoke. Just nothing.
The one thing Stoke have done is beat us 5-1. That's what they've done this season under Alex Neil. Look at their current
When
form.
you think of Stoke City, what comes to your mind first?
Shit. When you think of shit, what comes to your mind?
Nothing.
There you
It's
go.
a shithole, this Stoke. No offense to people who live there. It's a shithole.
No, to be fair, mate, like they've got a really good academy system. They've got good infrastructure. They've got good investment. They've got really good ties with their local businesses. I think Stoke as a infrastructure for a football club is really well managed. I just don't think it's attractive because in the north, it's the Midlands, but like it's towards the northwest. If you're looking at a football team in the northwest, there's much more attractive options. There's Burnley, there's Blackburn, there's Preston, there's if you go into the Premier League, you've got the Manchesters, you've got the Liverpool, the Everton. There's so many better options if you want out of London good football clubs. It's just a little bit disconnected from the football culture. I just think, yeah, until there's like massive investment in the area as a whole, it's not going to be an attractive prospect for like top flight footballers. So it will hover in mediocrity. It'll do a Reading in the mid 2000s. Like it'll do all right. It'll survive. It might go up and it might go down. It's going to be one of those championship teams. You've got to think when they got relegated, they haven't finished in the top half of the championship since being relegated. So that tells you everything. And Michael says, Alex Neil, snake. Right.
I'm a snack.
He'll snack a little snack. So yeah, I'm okay with it. Anything else you want to bring up before we wrap this session up, lads? Cabby, Dov?
No, I covered everything, I think.
Fantastic. Cabby?
Absolutely fine. I'm happy.
Fantastic. Well, I'll see you guys on Saturday. As always,
Indeed.
go ahead, lads. Playoffs are coming. We're Wembley bound, and at least we're not Wigan. Catch you in a bit.
At least we're not Stoke as well. So.
And SNZ edits us in a 3-2 win for Saturday. Welcome along. We're all going for wins apart from Jacob, who said a 2-2 draw. Catch you in a bit. See you next time.
Just Sunderland guys for away the lads. FTM.
Thank you for tuning in. Until next time. Bye. Bye.